When I was growing up, I was always searching for the meaning of life. Why is everything here? What is the purpose of everything? What's my purpose in life? And I was always searching for answers to these questions. And because I grew up in San Francisco in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the whole atmosphere, the ambiance of a city like San Francisco is something that's called the New Age. It's very free thinking, and it's just something where all possibilities become possible with crazy ideas. And so I began just reading different things, looking for the truth. I began reading books on psychology, and I ran into Abraham Maslow talking about self-actualization. I ran into a philosopher named Alan Watts who talked about Zen. And in San Francisco at that time, you could walk around and you would find Hindus there on the corner, and you could talk to them about Brahman, the ultimate source of all being. And it was just a very exciting time for me because I really felt that I was heading in the right direction. I was coming closer and closer to the answer of what was the meaning of life. Now, one thing in my search for the meaning of life that had no place in the picture, that wasn't in the picture at all, was Christianity. I had grown up Catholic, and to me, Catholicism was outmoded, out of date. In fact, I was along the thinking of, well, did Jesus Christ even really exist? Perhaps he's a myth. No, Christianity was the religion of my parents. It was something that they followed. They were brainwashed by it because they were following tradition. So in my search for the truth, the very last thing that I expected would be that the Christian God would take initiative and come into my life. But that's what happened. He came into my life in the most dramatic manner in March of 1991 when I was 29 years old. And God, the Christian God, came in a dream. He came like the way he came to Solomon in today's first reading. And in this dream, I'm in my apartment in San Francisco in the Richmond district, and there is a knocking at the door. And then I get up and I go and I open the door. And it is my brother. It is my older brother who is schizophrenic and still living at home. And in the dream, my brother is encased in this big block of ice. And he can't move. He's like trapped in there. And I'm able to see through the ice, and I'm able to see just a look of absolute misery on his face. And then he enters my apartment like this, kind of marching like this, enters into the middle of the apartment, and his arm shoots up like this, like a slot machine arm, and in his fingers is a $3 bill. At that point, I wake up from the dream, and I know right away, and it just has to be the grace of Jesus, but I know that this is a dream from Jesus, and for the first time in my life, I feel the presence of the living God. I just feel the loving presence of Jesus all around me there. And I just know that what Jesus is calling me to do is a specific thing. He's asking me to reach out to my brother to help him, that my brother needs help. And also, Jesus is letting me know that it is a choice that I have. I could either do it or not do it. And it is a very hard choice because at that time in my life, I was basically estranged from my family, and I didn't want to be involved in family affairs. But now Jesus is calling me to come in and help my brother. So it was a very hard decision for me. And so for the next 2 weeks, I just think about it. I really reflect very hard on this request that Jesus has for me. And it's a very difficult decision. But during that time, though, something amazing happens. And if you just remember one part of my homily, I hope you remember this point. Because during that time of reflection, whether I should reach out to my brother or not, Jesus let it be known to me that even if I said no to helping my brother, he would still be with me. He would be with me in a lesser manner, and my life would be lesser. But he let me know that he would still be with me. He would not abandon me. And I was just amazed. I was floored at such empathy and kindness, which I had never encountered in my life before. And so that's when I knew. That's when I knew that I had had an encounter through the initiative of the grace of God with the hidden treasure, the pearl of great price. And how can I say no to this? And I didn't. My decision was to say yes. And thanks be to God, I did reach out to my brother because Jesus asked me to, and it changed my brother's life now that he had an advocate there. But also, it changed my life as well, because in my search for the meaning of life, the last thing I expected was to find that the answer was God, was Jesus, but now I knew it was. The meaning of life was God, was Jesus Christ. The message of today's readings is that it is God who takes the initiative and comes in search of us. C.S. Lewis got it exactly right. He really did when he said that it is not our search for God, it is God's search for us. Because it is God who is the hidden treasure, but God helps us to find that hidden treasure. It is God who is the pearl of great wisdom, but it is God who helps us to search for that great wisdom. And then once we find that treasure, once we find that pearl of great wisdom, God gives us the choice. Do we give up everything? Do we give up everything to acquire this treasure, this pearl, because that treasure, that pearl is God? Jesus ends the gospel today by saying, do you understand all of these things? And what Jesus is saying is that we have the choice of saying yes or no to him, has that hidden treasure, has that pearl of great price. And the final choice is ours. Do we say yes or no to Jesus, has the hidden treasure, has the pearl of great price? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.